name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be my fall 2024 TBR. I am going to go with 6 books for this TBR. We'll see how that goes. I tried to do a mix of spooky books and then other things so that, you know, this TBR would expand outside of October. But let's face it, that's not really how this turned out at all, but my heart wants what it wants and I did my best. I will have the content warnings for everything that I can find linked down below in the description, along with links to some resources, and let's go ahead and get into it. First up is going to be A Tempest of Tea by Hafsah Faizal, and this follows our main character who runs an illegal blood house for vampires, which she disguises as a tea room during the day. When her establishment gets threatened, she is forced to make an unlikely deal and call upon the city's most skilled outcasts to help her infiltrate vampire society, where they find themselves in the middle of a conspiracy that could threaten the entire world. I feel like this book has been calling out to me ever since I hauled it, but I wanted to wait for the fall. So now it's fall and I don't have to wait anymore, and I'm just excited for the vampires and the overall atmosphere. I'm also interested in the world and the city itself, and of course the vampire society. I feel like this book has some potential to do some really cool and interesting things, so I hope it does. Next up is Delicious Monsters by Liselle Sambury. This follows 2 stories that are told parallel to each other. One follows our main character Daisy, who can see ghosts, but she realizes that her experience with these supernatural beings are no match for the secluded mansion that her mother inherited, or her mother's secrets. And then the other story takes place in the future and follows our main character Brittany, who is investigating the death of a young girl inside that same mansion 10 years in the past. There are very few things in this world that I love reading more than mysterious houses, especially in the fall. And I'm also really interested in the supernatural and the mystery and just the overall atmosphere, and just also how these 2 stories are going to connect and be told throughout the book. I also really enjoy Blood Like Magic by this author, and I loved aspects of its sequel. And even though I have my complaints about this series, there were just so many other things that I thought made it unique and interesting that also got me invested in the characters and the relationship dynamics, which all of that combined with the description of this is allowing me to go into this book with just so much excitement and with some very high hopes. And I do feel like I need that excitement. I do need those high hopes because I am trying to keep my reading slump from coming back right now, because I really want to actually read things in the fall. Next up is Huntsman by Gong, which is the sequel to Fall Lady Fortune, which is the 3rd book in the Secret Shanghai universe. The first book of that universe being These Violent Delights, which is a Romeo and Juliet retelling that is set in 1920 Shanghai. There are rival gangs and a monster, and our main character has to team up with her first love, who is also her first betrayal, and together they have to set aside their guns and their grudges in order to stop all of the mayhem. And Fall Lady Fortune takes place at the end of the events of book 2, Our Violent Ends, and it takes place in 1930s Shanghai, and this is the sequel to that. And what better way to fight off that reading slump that I just mentioned with what is one of my favorite series of all time. I love these characters, both new and original. I cannot wait to see them again in here. There are so many moving parts in this story always, but I do really feel like we were really getting into it at the end of Fall Lady Fortune, and I just cannot wait to see where that storyline is going to go. I'm also really excited to see all of the romances and also the action scenes again, which I feel like I almost never say when it comes to action scenes, but this series has had some really fun ones. This has always felt like a series that knows who it is and knows how to do what it does well, and just how to capture its themes and the time period. And it's just a series that as of right now, I cannot say enough good things about. Next up is Nayra and the Djinn by Iasmin, Omar, and this follows our main character who is dealing with a lot, including strict parents, bullying, and friendship demands that leave her feeling exhausted. She's considering transferring schools when a Djinn shows up and uses her powers and wisdom to help her navigate her life. But she could be the one who ends up paying the price for this Djinn's past. This is another one that I've been holding off on, which has been getting harder and harder as the days have gone by. So I would be like mildly surprised if this book made it past September unread. And that's because it is a graphic novel, so it probably will be a quicker read than most. And on that note, I am super excited to dive into the art style of this graphic novel, because I saw it briefly when I hauled this book. I can see it on the cover, and it all seems amazing and makes me so excited for all of the magic and the fantasy. It also seems like a story that's going to have a lot of heart as well, which could potentially destroy me emotionally, which I don't know if I'm fully ready for, but I'm just gonna let it happen if it does. Next up is Sleep Like Death by Kalynn Bayron. This is a fairy tale retelling of Snow White. It follows our main character Eve, who was raised to destroy an evil sorcerer named the Knight, who has been destroying the queendom with his magic. However, with her own magic, Eve is ready to fight as her 17th birthday approaches, but with her mother talking to a strange mirror every night and the Knight's messenger revealing an unexpected truth about her past, Eve finds herself unsure of what to do or who to trust. I have read quite a few books by this author in my reading life at this point, and my thoughts have ranged from like 5-star, one of my favorite books of all time, to this just really did have a lot of flaws for me. But even when there have been those flaws, there is always something about these books that no matter how many critiques that I have about them, there's always something that I really like or even love about them at the same time. And Cinderella is Dead was one of those books, because no matter how many complaints that I had about it, it had some really, really cool things going on that all makes me really excited to read another fairy tale retelling by this author. And it just makes me want to see and know what exactly this book has in store for me. And finally, we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. And this follows our main character, who is one of the few witches in Britain and has had to keep her magic a secret. But she also posts videos on the internet of her pretending to be a witch, thinking that no one is going to take it seriously until someone does. And she gets invited to the Nowhere House to teach magic to 3 young witches, and as she gets more comfortable with the house and its inhabitants, she finally feels like she is somewhere she belongs, but when things get dangerous, she's going to need to decide if she's going to risk everything for her newfound family. I mean, you had me at found family, and honestly, it doesn't really take much more than that, but this does obviously have witches, which makes me very happy, and I really want to get to know the characters and just see all the different relationships and dynamics, and then also just like get to explore the house a little bit maybe, because getting lost in this setting does sound like it's going to be really fun for the fall. And I don't know, there's something about this that feels kind of playful and silly, but still with a lot of heart. And I like that it has a different vibe from the rest of these books, but still fits in perfectly with the fall. As for manga, my main plan right now is Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, which I just talked about in my most recent book haul and recent pre-orders video, but that's like another silly and wholesome one that's still very much very fall-like. And I'm also thinking of maybe reading some Junji Ito because it's been a while, and then also maybe some darker shonen like Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe getting back into Chainsaw Man a little bit more. So the plans aren't fully planning yet, but like I'll figure out something eventually. Okay, so that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!